Welcome in to Take Flight. As always, we have Connor Luby with us.
I'm glad to be back. I missed a couple episodes, but it's nice to be back here.
Yeah, you're taking Chris's spot. Chris rotating out. I think he's on his anniversary date or something. He's got
Yeah.
something going on this weekend. And speaking of anniversaries and stuff, we have Dan Anderson, who's been here for plenty of years. I'm sure you've had a lot of anniversaries.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's we've been here for probably 24, 25 years. I'm getting close to 50 years of coaching. Um, I can't tell you exactly how many years I've been coaching. I can't tell you exactly how many games I won. I mean, a bunch. I'm not trying to brag, but a bunch. Um, I just never keep track of that stuff because it's not necessarily about me. It's about our players and helping our guys get to what their goals are.
Absolutely. And we're gonna talk about players as we get further into the show, but I just kind of want to talk about your starting coaching. You had an unconventional, like you didn't really think you'd be doing it type deal. You just kind of ended up in a coaching position. If you want to kind of walk us through how that happened, and how you started coaching.
Well, this is a true story. I was going to be an optometrist. Probably should have been. I'd probably have more money, but I couldn't watch people put contact lenses in their eyes. And my eyes start watering. And I said, man, I can't do this. So I go to my advisor at Augustana in Sioux Falls and I say, I don't know what to do. Okay. He said, well, if you go one more semester because you took all these science and math classes, you could become a teacher. And I had no intent on becoming a teacher of any sort. So during the summers, I had a summer job where I would drive ready mix trucks for Canton Concrete. And I remember parking the ready mix truck outside, went into the school with steel toed boots on, and had my interview. I didn't dress up at all, and then got the job. And I was a seventh grade math and science teacher. I had to coach football. I had to coach basketball. I had to coach track. I also had to coach wrestling. And I didn't, I remember wrestling in high school and in PE, not on the wrestling team. So I knew what it was like is looking up at the lights all the time because I was on my back most of the day. So and then I'd have to wrestle against some real wrestlers, and they'd put you in torture holds. And but those were great experiences, and I just kind of moved on. I started working a lot of basketball camps, and then pretty soon, college asked me if I wanted to be their third assistant. Um, and I said I would love to do that. So I got into college, and that's been a long time ago.
Where was that college that offered you that job?
At Augustana in Sioux Falls.
Augustine? Okay.
Yeah. And they played it at that time, it was called the North Central Conference.
Okay.
And there was North Dakota State and UND and SDSU and USD.
A lot of the major schools up.
And most of those schools have all went Division One.
Yeah.
And I think Augie's transitioning to Division One now too.
Okay.
That was before Title IX, and then Title IX came in, and we had to even everything out. And since I was the third assistant, I had to go.
Okay.
And I got a job at Iowa Western in Clarinda, way down south, about by Maryville, Missouri, and that's where I started this at. And I didn't really know what I was doing, because you got the NJCAA handbook and rules, and I really didn't know any of those things. So I had to get on board real quick, and we did. So things worked out pretty good.
And you gotta learn on the fly when you're kind of just put into a position like that. And I'm sure you feel blessed that that's the opportunity that you ended up having. Because I mean, you meet so many people, so many talented young kids, and
Right.
so many coaches. And we talked before Christmas break. This is man a while ago, but we kind of talked about the connections that you make when you go to certain camps and you meet certain people. Talk about some of the connections that you've just personally been able to kind of create throughout your
Mm,
tenure as a coach
yeah.
and
Um, a story I like to tell is I'm a huge Dean Smith fan, North Carolina. You know, my assistant is a Dookie, and I can't put up with people from Duke, but I'm a North Carolina fan, and I'm also a Michigan State fan. I'm a Nebraska fan, and I'm a Hawkeye fan. Um, but I should say I'm kind of a fan of all basketball
yeah.
because you like to see good basketball, and coaches really can't tolerate watching bad basketball because that's hard. But one of the stories I like, because getting back to Dean Smith, is that when Dean retired, Bill Guthridge took over out at North Carolina. And he called me and wanted to recruit one of my players to North Carolina. And North Carolina was a team that didn't take junior college players very often, but they said, we might be interested in your player if we don't get the Carter kid. Now, the Carter kid is Vince Carter. He's pretty good, or was pretty
Yeah,
good.
I mean,
So, um, my player didn't end up out there, but he ended over at New Mexico State and had a nice career there. But those are some of the things. And I was going to bring it over here. If I would show you my practice plans, okay? It's just a sheet of paper
Mhm.
where we plan everything. And one thing I've done over the years is 40 years to 50 years, I've saved all those things. It drives my wife nuts. They're all in 3-ring binders, which you see sitting behind my desk. And since I was moved out of a different office, most of it was taken home, and now it sits in my basement. And then she's after me to get rid of that stuff. But on that sheet of paper is at the bottom, it says, well, let me ask you, what's Northeast colors?
Black and red.
Black and red. Good. At the bottom, it says white and blue. Who's white and blue?
Tar Heels.
Tar Heels. So my practice plans was Dean Smith's practice plans, where they had a thought for the day, an emphasis of the day, and then who's going to be on the white team, who's going to be on the blue team. I just kept using that and using that, and it was great. And then who won it all this year?
Oh, North Carolina?
no,
No.
Kansas came
did.
away with
Yeah,
it.
They were
Kansas
close.
did.
North
Yeah, North
Carolina, I mean, they had them reeling with
Yeah.
a 15-point lead at half, and
Yeah,
Kansas
That's
and Bill Self. I mean, Bill
Right.
Self's one of those coaches that also is very, very good at his job. He
right.
kind of struggles getting over the hump at times, but he's able to get it done.
It took them, what was it, about almost 15 years to get it from the last title that he had, but
Yeah, it's
they've
been a while.
been solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then before Bill Self was Roy Williams, who's a North Carolina guy. So, and we run some North Carolina stuff, but over the years we've kind of had to adjust because the game adjusted. And one thing that I've had to learn to do is you see that I'm a nice big tall guy.
Mm.
Okay. I've lost some weight though, which I'm proud to admit that
There
I've
you
lost
go. Hey,
weight.
get
Okay.
healthy.
Mhm.
Um, I used to think you got to get the ball inside and you beat people up and pound it in. But you can't do that anymore because you can't trade for two.
Mhm.
And so you got to have great 3-point shooters. And that's an area of emphasis this year for our recruiting is try to get some better shooters. We work hard on shooting. I know that if you go by the gym, there's a lot of guys that are on the gun shooting. They put in their time. I know you guys have been around. Those guys are really good guys to be around. They're just big and have wild hair and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but they're a fun bunch, and that's why I keep going. As I could easily retire. I'm going to turn 70 here in in about a month. But I said that I would see them through and help them through. So that's my plan, and that's how we're rolling right now. And we've had a good start on recruiting. We've we've had some really interesting things. One of my favorite stories is to tell. It happened in American in Wapaton, North Dakota, and it's a guy by the name of Gio Bain who now plays professionally in Japan. Gio Bain,
Okay.
and we were eating breakfast down in the breakfast nook there. And one of the things that those hotels have is you get hard boiled eggs. Okay. He put those hard boiled eggs into the microwave to warm them up. And then he took it out of the microwave and took his plastic fork, because we're at a motel, and sticks it on top of the egg, and the egg explodes.
Hmm.
So now we got egg and egg yolks all over his hair.
Oh boy.
And he had the wild hair, and it was just full of white spots and yellow spots where it just, and I laugh at that and stuff like that. And it was one of the things when we talked about doing this a couple weeks ago. I said to my wife, I said, "What story should I tell? There's a lot of them I could tell." And she said, "Well, you got to tell the Gio Bain one."
You
So
gotta talk about
I'll
that.
give my wife credit for that.
Hey, there we go. What's your wife's name?
Chris.
Chris. Well, shout out to her for supplying us with that great story, and we're gonna go all over the place here. I know that you've been on the earth for almost 70 years. Happy early
Right.
birthday, by the way. You read a lot.
Right.
You like to learn through reading books that coaches have made, other just books
Right.
in general. So why don't you tell us how that started? What made you want to read, and what's some of the best books out there that you've got soaked in some
Well,
information?
one thing I should say, when I was in elementary school in a little town of northwest Iowa called Dune, Iowa, all 450 people, I wasn't a very good reader, and I had to take oh you oh there's words for it, where you had to get extra help on learning how to
Okay.
read. And I did that, and I improved my reading. And so right now I'm reading a book by David Nurse. That would be Nick Nurse's nephew.
Okay.
He's a player development um, for NBA players and stuff like that. He also is talking about different mindsets and how we can have breakthroughs and stuff like that. I just finished up a book on John Thompson, the old Georgetown coach. That was excellent.
Mhm.
Um, my next one that I'm planning on reading is the one by Chris Bosch, at Miami. And I kind of jump around. What I don't really read is fiction. It's mostly autobiographies and different things like that. I really like the John Gordon books. John Gordon had a book out called Training Camp, which is very good, and then the Energy Bus. And those are good. And you know what? You can pick up little sayings all the time. Um, and then all of a sudden, by reading it, you're going to quote something from that book or something that you heard. One thing I said today was from Bill Self's father. We got talking about slogans at weights this morning, and his father told Bill Self, "Don't worry about the mules, just load the wagon." In other words, don't worry about getting there. Do the work now.
Mhm.
And that's what we're talking to our players about, is doing the work, in the weight room, in the classroom, at practice, at individuals. You got to get the work done. And then you got to get the work done, outside of the court, where you're making great decisions, because there's a lot of distractions out there, and you've got to learn to say some things. We even um, tell our guys, one of the best words you can learn to say is no. No, I'm not going to do that, because I got to get to the gym and get my shots up. Um, and and they pick up on that stuff, and it's been good. like I said, I really have enjoyed being around this group because they're willing to put the work in, and it makes life really, really good.
Yeah, and you talk about picking up certain sayings. I remember, I mean, this is just like a week ago or so. I was actually at an interview, and I'm in the media business, and it was like, if your mom says if your mom says she loves you, ask for a second source. You always want to, double check things, ask for a second source to make sure it's verified. And so when you pick up sayings like that in a book or from different coaches, I mean, it really just shows how much you're willing to learn and able to
Right.
learn and provide more content for the game and for your players. And talking about your players, I kind of want to talk about this year's specific group. Obviously, not the record you want, but
No.
we got a chance to sit down and watch every single one of your home games, and we even I went to CCC and watched you guys play
Right.
on the road there. And the thing with this team, extremely talented, played fast paced ball, got shots up, but it just seemed like a finishing problem. It'd be like the
Right.
final 5 7 minutes of the game, and it'd slip away. And maybe you could attribute that to maybe lack of depth on the bench for getting tired.
Mhm.
But I don't know exactly what you would attribute that to, and I kind of want to pick your brain on kind of how the season went.
Well, first of all, um, I was happy with it. I really enjoyed how hard these guys competed out there on the floor. Um, a lot of times we're first to the floor, diving for loose balls.
Mhm.
Um, we're not afraid to get out there and run. We had a bad habit of getting into foul trouble. Um, and we weren't the biggest in the world because we had broken hands and we had some issues with proper paperwork getting people ready. Colin Storr can be a beast out there. And, we had to get some things ready for him. But then he started coming around and playing. And, you know, w- w- we didn't use the pandemic year to our favor. What I mean is there's a lot of older junior college teams this year.
Mhm.
There's a lot of third year um, players. I talked about the Hawkeyes. Bohannon's been playing for 6 years
Yeah.
Mhm.
for him, and some are going to play more. And we had a family stop by and visit yesterday, and I told them, what you need to do and go through our used car salesman deal
Yeah.
and tell them all that stuff. But then you also got to tell them that, hey, last year's seniors, this year's seniors, and this year's juniors who will be seniors next year, you're in a tough spot
Yeah.
Mhm.
because there's not many scholarships available
Hmm.
because no one's leaving.
No one. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Everyone's
the
staying.
only people that are going to leave are the one and dones. And there's also so many people in the portal.
Yep, that's exactly what my next question was. Be I'll let you elaborate on that.
Yeah, and the portal has made the Final Four very interesting because there was a lot of good games.
Yeah.
Because there was no clear real favorite. Who would have thought Kansas would have won?
Yeah. There not a whole lot of people heading into the
A
tournament.
lot of
No.
people had
Kansas won, yeah.
Gonzaga kind of chalked up to get it
Yeah,
done, but yeah.
and then Duke and all what, but all the teams were
The parity.
pretty
Yeah.
parity, a good word. Um, and that's kind of happening now in junior college because a lot of the people in the portal aren't finding places to go. Okay. Um, and a lot of them are Division One players, but there's a reason why they're transferring out. They want to play, or maybe they just saw that, okay, coach, the people ahead of me and the people that are behind me are just going to take the time, so I better find another school where I can get on the floor. And there's a lot of really successful stories about people being um, where the portals really worked out for them. Junior college, we don't necessarily use the portal that much because we don't necessarily have full ride scholarships. I mean, we do have scholarships, but you do have to come up with some money, and the people in the portal probably can get better offers and better deals at other places, and then a lot of people, maybe don't always like to go to junior college. And I'm going to say this is, Division One basketball, the best basketball is the NBA and then the G League, and then it's going to be Division One. And I think tied right behind Division One would be some Division Two schools and some junior colleges. You know, you know, there's a lot of really good junior college teams because one way of getting around the ACT or the SAT test is getting a degree from junior college, and you don't have to have the certain numbers that I know you guys all took the ACTs, and
Yep.
most people around here take the ACTs. We don't take the SATs, but some people just don't take it, or they just didn't during their high school years. They didn't take the proper classes because you have to have so many classes of a certain skill level and so many labs and so many math classes, so many English classes that a lot of them didn't take it. So one thing is that you can have a lot of good players in junior college. We were telling our guys this morning that on the group that we had lifting today, and I think there's 11 in there. There's some Division One players in there.
Yeah,
there's some Division One players in
100%.
there, and there's some that are going to get paid playing this game because they'll be pros. They might not play in the NBA, but you can go overseas and make money. We have a lot of pros playing overseas right now, and what we told them though is you got to make sure you're taking care of business. You got to improve your game. You're not going to really grow a whole lot, but you can get thicker. And when I look at an NBA game, one of the things I kind of look at is you look at the players build and stuff, and they got big shoulders and everything. And, in the NBA, they just bounce you out of the way and lay it up and stuff. And so that's what we're trying to do with our weight program. We lift 4 days a week. We don't miss. Usually we take Wednesdays off, but since we don't have school on
Friday.
And so we lifted 4 days in a row, and then we'll lift again starting
4 days in a row,
Tuesday.
yep.
And we only have 3-4 weeks of school left. And so we got to get stuff done. I know we'll have some that will stay during the summer and will continue to keep working. One of the things that a lot of people don't know is there's a 2-week period in June where we can play games.
Okay.
And normally the games are over in Johnston, Iowa, which would be a northern suburb of Des Moines. And maybe 30 some junior colleges will come each weekend. And Johnson, I think, has 4 or 5 floors that are running. That we get all kinds of games going at the same time. And we'll be doing that, and we can have this year's players and the people we got coming back, and we'll have a lot of people back from this team to next year. And then we've gotten people healthy too. We picked up we call him AP, Amari Perkins, at semester time. He's a really nice player. He didn't. If you come at semester time, you can't play it till next fall. So he'll be able to play 2 years at our place, but I think someone will want to take him after 1 year. So another place will get him for 4 or 3.
Okay.
And that's where, would we like to have him for 2 years? Definitely. But we have to look what's best for him.
Yep.
We and that's one of the things that we do. We look out for what's best for our players.
These players are just trying to look for every opportunity that they can get to just best fit them and what they want to do in their lives.
Right. And we're always critiquing our games. We foul too much. We try to address that. We didn't always shoot it real well. So we tried to recruit a couple more really good shooters. And, we signed from town here. We signed Ben Hammond at Norfolk Catholic, and we signed Jason Suits from Humphrey. And those two guys have length. They're both about 6'5", 6'6". Um, they both can really shoot it. But here's another saying that we say is they got to become comfortable in uncomfortable situations. They're going to play at a pace like you alluded to,
Mhm.
a few minutes ago, where the game is going and it's
So
back and forth.
there's a big transition when you come
Right.
from the high school level to the college level, and the speed and
The shot clock is a big reason
Yeah.
because of that. There's no
Right.
which needs to be changed. I don't know what you think about that. We might talk about that at some point, but there needs to be a high school shot clock. But we'll get into that later, maybe. But
Well, I think Class A is going to put in the shot clock this year.
yeah, I think I saw something about that too.
And then I think why they'll go with A is because Class A is maybe it's going to be a cost to some schools
Mhm.
because you got to get them
Get the
mounted and you
board.
got all the wiring and you got to get, you probably got to get we call them Christmas tree lights,
Yeah.
That go off on
Yeah.
the board. Yep.
and that's going to be an expense. And so um, I think South Dakota has got a shot clock.
South
Okay.
Dakota does. A couple of those states around here do. I'm glad they're starting with that. Just probably work their way down. And
Right.
just try. I don't know if eventually they'll get down to Class C, Class D level, but maybe you'll see it
Maybe
in maybe a
Class B.
5-year
Yeah.
Class B or so. But yeah, there's probably some schools in Class A that already have the facilities made for
Yeah.
shot clocks. Some of those schools are big enough where they might have them already installed, but some of these, yeah, they gotta get up and install them.
So a couple of things. We're gonna, I guess, while we're on the shot clock thing, do you think that's gonna help with conditioning for certain players? Like you talk about how they have to adjust to the pace, and a possession in a high school game, I've seen possessions be 2 minutes long,
Right.
just without even a shot going up, but not counting any offensive rebounds. Do you think that helps with conditioning and keeping a pace for players like Suits and
Right.
Hammond and whatnot?
Well, it's definitely going to be an adjustment. But I would say this: it's going to be an adjustment for some high school coaches who like to have a lot of control. And when there's a shot clock going on and that thing starts counting down, um, give the ball to Seed, give the ball to Mono, give the ball to Chaz, give the ball to AP, and get out of the way and just let them go and do their thing. And I don't know if high school coaches will be willing to change. I think they will, but I mean, it's going to be
You think
different.
the transition might be a little hard there for them, maybe trying to get adjusted in their game with they might be
Yeah,
they might
Run
not.
through the offense, run
Yep.
through the
Right.
offense, keep screening, keep going, keep cycling
Yeah.
through
Yep.
instead of, okay,
We need
we're
to
at
get a
8
shot
seconds. We need to get it to our guard and let him ISO and do something.
right.
Yeah, that's kind of what you're alluding to.
And the guard, if they penetrate, they'll kick out. And they got to be able to knock down
Yeah.
shots, and coaches will have to have some different type of plays in there where the game is going to be picked up. It's more fun to watch.
Thank you.
I mean,
It is.
yeah, I go to high school games and I enjoy it just because I'm a basketball purist. But I'm sure sometime during that game, I'm sitting there thinking, boy, this is kind of slow.
Yep.
Wish it would go a little bit faster. But then I understand it.
Yep.
That's how it is. So, but it will gradually change.
And when you talk about going to watch high school games, I guess I don't know. I'll ask you: did you get a chance to watch Suits and Hammond go at each other in the playoffs?
No, I didn't watch that. I've watched it on tape and stuff like that. It's kind of strange. They are pretty good friends,
Yeah. Yep.
and they are competitive. And the Suits boys, are Humphrey, Lindsay Holy family, moved up from D1
D1
to
to
C2.
C2.
And so then that puts them in with Catholic and stuff like that. That just makes for good basketball. And another saying we're on sayings: if you're the best player in the gym, you're in the wrong gym, because you should be where someone's going to push you.
Mhm.
And if you're just dominating everything, then maybe you need to look for a better place. And I know yesterday Jason was here and played with our guys and stuff, and we've had people will do that if they live within reason to our place. They'll come up and play because they know that we play about every day, and we go at 4 o'clock, and we only go till 5. We had to put that rule in a few years ago because they'll just keep playing and playing and playing and playing, and then you get the text from the wife saying, "When you coming home here?" and stuff like that.
I made supper 4 hours ago.
Yeah, and it's just in there, and we also have to make sure they don't become referees out there when we're playing because they like to be referees, and everything. But this group is pretty good about that. They'll let some fouls go that normally,
ticky-tacky
yeah,
type things.
they're, this is college. They understand it, and sometimes if you call a foul that's not much of a foul, you kind of get made fun of a little bit. So, but the games get competitive because they're only to 7, and the winners stay on.
Okay. Winner's court. Okay.
Yeah, and we call them 1s and 2s, and maybe Coach Junior, when he's on here, talked about that. A 2-point shot is worth 1, and a 3 is worth 2.
Yep.
And you can hear the guys talking. That's something that if you guys want to make $1 million, invent an app that you can push that will make basketball players talk on the floor.
Communicate.
Yeah. Because they can sing about any song around and they can talk all day long. But you get them on the floor, they become quiet. But this group here was a little bit better at talking and stuff. But no, the games get really competitive, and because they just don't want to have to sit out.
They want to stay out on the floor as long as possible.
Yeah.
I don't blame them. They get aggressive for that.
Yeah, but we had to put in just an hour because if you play too long, then people start walking, and we don't want the walking because that's the conditioning part. We got to play, and we don't have no shot clocks on. But I would be really surprised if we ever had a shot clock violation in those pickup games and stuff, because they're firing right off the bat and stuff. So, but again, that makes them comfortable playing at that fast pace. They just got to get used to doing it, and it takes a while. Usually we kind of have a mindset that if a freshman starts out here in practice, okay, he's not going to kind of get it all put together until late January. It's going to take a while to get used to the pace, to get used to how the game is played a little higher in the air. It's a little bit rougher. You got to keep your composure out there on the floor, and you just have to kind of get yourself prepared to play at Division I, because that's what their dream is. That's what the dream is, to get there. I know some of them, have a dream of playing in the NBA, but that's pretty small chance because there's just so many.
There's a lot of talent out there, and it's going to take a lot of hard work.
Yeah, but no, that's kind of. And we're still actively recruiting. We got a big 6'9" kid that is going to be coming. That will help us with our size. We'll get Colin back, and Charles will be back. Charles didn't play at all this year because he had the broken hand, and he's been looking good. He's been working hard, and then we got those really good guards back that were exciting to watch. I know someone was talking to me about, they'll ask you, well, how many games did you win last year? Oh, I hate that question.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell the story.
What you just kind of told us really described what this team felt like throughout the season. It was kind of a slow start, but once you had a lot of freshmen on this team. When January rolled around, you could really see a big transition before break and after break of when I think you might have had 2 or 3 games during that break. Did you really take advantage of that and just kind of reflect on the season, then took that to the second part?
And it's Well, we tell them it's going to be a marathon. This is not a 100-yard dash. This is a long season, and sometimes some people just wear down. They can't handle it. They really like basketball, but I don't know if they love it. And you gotta love it because they're going to have you do something all the time. You're going to have study halls. You're going to have individual workouts. You're going to have your practices. You're going to have to go to um, the weight training coaches, and we don't have that ability to have a strength coach. We have to do it ourselves. But our guys are really looked well and really have worked hard, and we see some good definition coming on those guys. But then again, they have to make good decisions when they go eat. Are they eating something green?
Mhm.
We talk about that. You have to have some salad. You got to have some Brussels sprouts. You got to have some green beans. It can't be. Well, I'll just use me. Could I live on frozen pizza? Yeah. Could I live on corn dogs?
I
Yeah.
like that idea.
I could live on, um, you know,
TV dinners.
Yeah.
And
Just find what I
hot
can
dogs
find.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, hot dogs. I look. I think they had brats over there. Ooh, I could live on that. But if you're going to be this player that really loves the game and have this goal to get to Division One, it's about having a training table, and that's something we can't afford to have as a training table like they would have in Nebraska
Yep,
for the
I've seen their kind
football.
of what they have.
But we do have a good cafeteria and everything. Um, a lot of junior colleges don't have dorms. We do.
Mhm.
A lot of junior colleges don't always have food service. We do. Um, we have really nice facilities here. Um, and when you have nice facilities, a lot of people want to use it.
Yeah.
And so we have to be mindful of other people's and other programs. Volleyball, they get it for their 2 hours. Women's basketball gets it for their 2 hours. And then men's basketball comes on. Now, we've kind of gone late because I can explain this to you why we go late. Is I'm old. We already talked about
Mm.
my 40th birthday coming up.
Yeah, you look no older than 35, I
Yeah.
promise.
And I have 3 daughters and a wife. My wife's a 4th grade teacher. I could never do what she does. I could never be a 4th grade teacher. That's really great. But my daughters are all gone. They're all grown. They're married. I got grandkids now. And it just worked out better, because the younger coaches had families and stuff like that. So we could kind of go late. But also, if we go late, we could practice a little bit longer. But I was notorious for being a 3-hour practice coach, about 15 years ago. And you can't keep people interested for 3 hours anymore. After about 90 minutes, they're
Checked out and ready
Checked
to go
out.
home in their head.
But this group, for the 90 minutes that we may practice hard. They'll
They're
go
dedicated to it. Yeah.
hard. Yeah. Sometimes we got to have special game day rules where if someone's got a breakaway layup, don't challenge them. Don't go up in the rim and take them out. Don't, whack across his arms and hands because we can't afford to get people hurt, which kind of happened this year. So we have different rules we put in because they'll play so hard.
Yeah.
But a lot of junior colleges will play hard and stuff. It really is a fun league. And I would say that for the people that come and watch for the very first time, junior college basketball, they'll go, wow, we didn't know that this was here. They've probably been to a C2 game or maybe Norfolk High game, and they have great crowds, but it's just a different game. It's just faster.
Yep, faster, bigger.
Right.
I mean, you see a lot more size on a college court here than you do if you go to a
Right.
high school game. And there's still big guys in high school. Don't get me wrong.
It just you might have one or two that are big out on a high school court, while everyone out
Everyone
on a
is.
college court is going to be big. They're going to be out there. They're going to want it.
Exactly. And going back to what you said with the eating right and everything, there's a saying you can't out train a bad diet, which would probably go to
Right.
your credence of saying, you got to make sure you're getting all your nutritious
Right.
values in through the day, salads, protein, carbs, all that fun stuff. And, I had a question, and you I don't even know if you have an answer for this one, but I was just having a thought because we were discussing what kind of vision we would have for a starting five. I'm not going to ask you for a starting five for next year, but do you have anything that you think is set in stone? Do you think Jared is locked in? Do you think Emmanuel is locked into a starting position, or do they still have to go out and earn it, compete against the guys that are coming in?
They would be the front runners. Okay. But we would hope that there would be people that would challenge them, because that's when you get better.
Yep.
If you have,
Don't rest on your laurels kind of thing.
right.
Yeah.
And if you got people that can come off the bench and take your time away, then they'll maybe play a little bit harder, or they'll do what they're supposed to do. It's definitely helpful to have more size, and it's definitely helpful to have better shooting, and it's definitely helpful to be athletic and being able to run the floor. Those things all play into it. But when you have competition, you also have to know how to handle it. You have to be able to stay calm in tough situations. You can't, kind of in this game, if you talk too much to the referees, you'll get technicals. And and does that happen to us? Oh yeah. But it probably happens to every team out there. And again, it's that back to the thing we said earlier. You just got to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. You got to know you got to do the right thing and say the right things out there.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask that question. I want to talk about your statement when you talk about your game day rules in practice. As a coach, how do you obviously want to evaluate them playing hard in practice, but you want them to play smart as well and don't hurt anyone. And I feel like that would come more in like the low post action. How do you, as a coach, evaluate if something is too hard or you're playing too rough down there? Because I mean, just a quick back into my history of playing basketball. There was one time a coach in practice we were working on something, and I was the bigger guy in the post at this point, and I was like banging down low trying to make the kid work for it. And uh, the coach was like, "You don't have to be such a prick about it." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I wasn't trying to be. I was just trying to be as physical as the game
Right.
would be." So how do you go about kind of approaching the situation of trying to make them better by pushing them of what they're going to see in a game physical level, and how you want them to be physical in
Okay.
practice?
Well, one of the things that we have is we have a drill we just call five. It's basically 5-on-5, but it's going to be half court. The wings and the wings can't move. They have to stay there, and we're not going to deny them the ball. Okay. But it's an inside triangle where we let anything go. And it gets really rough. And it teaches them that, hey, do we have some cheap shots every once in a while? Oh yeah, we do. But it gets them to play more physical and to post up harder. Um, Very rarely over the years have we've ever gotten a foul and the referee says, "Well, he posts up too hard." That hasn't happened very often. Now we may get called for hooking. We're
Keep your arm in.
reaching around him and stuff, but even in five, we kind of allow that to go. Um, when we play ones and twos, I'm thinking of something else. We allow goaltending.
Okay.
And they don't like it, but it gets our guys to challenge.
For baskets. Yeah.
Right. If the ball goes off the board, okay, and you hit it, that's goaltending.
Yep.
Well, we allow
Allow it to
goaltending.
happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
We spend a lot of time on defense because a lot of people don't ever work individually on their defense. They work a lot on their offensive skills. Being Steph Curry and doing all your dribbling
Mhm.
drills and doing all your shooting drills and getting on the gun. But it makes you a complete player when you can guard. If you can't guard, you're a liability out there. And usually the freshmen are can't guard yet because there's going to be a lot of players that are going to be quick that are going to go around you. And we have a lot of guys that will go right around you right now, but you just got to learn that you got to calculate the angle of the drop to cut it off. And then you got to wall up. You can't put your hands out there, but you can wall up and stop them from driving. But you gotta have help, and that's where I think a lot of schools don't teach help side real well. A lot of times they're out there guarding their man. The ball's on this side of the floor, and they're out over here guarding. You know, we like eh, we like to divide the court in half. If the ball's over here, then everybody's either in the middle of the line and
Yeah.
stuff, and being on the right spots. Um, you got to be able to stand in and take charges. That's always tough to get them to do. Um, we saw something yesterday that a couple people did that was really nice is that they weren't going to get the rebound, okay? But they got up high enough to slap the ball out to somebody else.
Yep.
They just tipped it out.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you don't have people that will do that. They'll just give up on it and stuff.
Those are some easy offensive rebounds that you can get where
Right.
the defense is just out of place, expecting to go back and transition. You tip it out to one of your
Yeah.
guard or out to the wing, and they hit that for a shot. That's
Yeah.
something to change momentum in a game.
Yeah, and that hurts. That hurts the team when that happens because that's like, oh,
Oh, we almost
Yeah.
had it. We played defense for
Yeah.
28 seconds.
This
and
guy kicked it
took
out.
down a rebound.
Yeah.
Yep.
so that's been really good. We talk to our guys about you can dribble too much, you can pass too much, you can shoot too much, but you can never rebound too much. And one of the stats we like to look at, and Evan Decker was very good at it. Evan Decker averaged double figures, and the terminology double double.
Double.
Yep.
Yep.
He averaged around 8 rebounds a game.
I think
That's pretty
we
good.
mentioned it throughout the year. I
Yeah,
think he was
pretty
sitting
close.
about top 5 in the conference for
Right.
rebounds per game throughout. Yeah, 8 or 9 rebounds throughout
Yep.
the year. He's sitting steady.
And again, I've never heard a coach saying, "Hey, stop rebounding so somebody else can."
Yeah.
No, we all look for rebounders, and that's something that we look at in recruiting is, are they good rebounders? I mean, our guards are good rebounders. Jaden's a good rebounder. Chaz is a good rebounder. Mono's a really good rebounder.
Mhm.
Seed can board at his size
Yeah.
and stuff. And a lot of times when those guys grab the ball, it's just heading the other way really quick.
They're going.
Yeah, and they're going to share the ball. They're going to kick it ahead, and someone's going to finish. And again, that's one of those plays that the other coach and the other teams, oh darn, and coaches get on their players when they're not getting back.
Yep.
So, but again, that's something that we stress, and sometimes we don't always get back either, and that's something that we've had to put into our offenses is that even if we're running 5-on-0, or the 5 of us, I know there's only 3 of us, but the 5 of us are running our little offense, and then the ball gets thrown into the post, and you're going to go up and dunk it. Who's ever playing point guard is when you're dunking, the point guard is heading back the other way.
Mm-hmm.
You can't stand and watch because if you stand and watch, people are
They're
going
gone.
by you.
Yep.
So you got to take off the other end.
just staying one step ahead of the game
Right.
as it plays out will keep you better off in the long
Yeah.
run. Yeah.
Now they don't run all the way back to the basket, but they make sure they get crossed half
Yeah.
court and stuff. So
Make sure no.
and then we do this 5-0 a lot, running through every one of our offenses. And after a while, they kind of get used to, I got to get back.
Mhm.
Or if they get caught inside, someone's yelling, "I got back," and stuff like that. So that's kind of where the team part, where they figure it out and get things done.
Yeah. Um, Wanted to talk about what it's going to mean to have the two guys in Jared and Evan back again next year. They've been here. I mean, this is going to be their
Yeah.
third year. What kind of leadership they can provide. Obviously the sophomores coming in next year are already going to have been here for a year, and then you're going to have your freshman class coming in. Talk about Jared and Evan specifically and how you feel about them coming back, and then we'll have one more question, and then we'll get the show
Okay.
kind of wrapped up.
Jared and Evan. First of all, um, they're great students. I think, and this may become an issue where Evan has to decide. I might have to get into a new major, or maybe I have to look to transfer someplace else because I think he's taken every possible math
Huh.
class here.
Wow.
Goodness.
I
Okay.
mean, he's an engineer person, and
Okay.
he's take Calc 1, Calc 2, Calc 3 differential equations, stuff that I couldn't even begin to
Oh,
pass.
yeah.
I tell Evan all the time, if you have a question, don't come to me because I can't do that stuff anymore. But Evan is vocal on the floor, and that's always a good thing. It's like that app. Evan is always talking. Evan is always playing hard. Evan always competes. And so we get him back. That's great. If we don't, we understand because, again, it's about what's good for the player, not what's good for the team. We got to put the players' options ahead. Jared, I know, is coming back. Jared is a warrior. He's kind of our leader, in almost every huddle. He's the one that when we are ready to break, he'll say family or and stuff like that. Um, Jared plays hard, but Jared was hurt during the year,
Yeah.
not hurt bad enough not to play, but just nagging enough that he didn't always play at his highest level.
Through the middle part of the season, it just kind of got to him.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, right now he's playing really, really good. That's because he's back being healthy. So it'll be good having those guys back. Anytime you can have older guys that have been here and been through the wars, because you tell an incoming freshman about this, and no, I played AAU, I know how to do this, and yeah, no,
This
no,
the
no,
beast.
yeah, it's going to be different, and then we'll get the guys that will play the second year back, and then we'll have. Right now, we got 3 first-year players back, and we'll recruit a couple more. But we can be kind of selective right now. We want to make sure we get the best fit, and we talk a lot about culture, making sure we try to have good people. One of the key things that I look for is, are the basketball players willing to attend other people's games? Will they go to a volleyball game? Will they go to a softball game? Will they interact with people? And I would say that you guys have been around them a little bit. If you go ask them questions, they're just normal guys.
Yeah.
They'll talk, okay? They'll joke around, and they're not on any real ego trip or anything like that. They're just solid people that are living a dream, and but they're fun to be around, and that's probably why I'm able to keep going at this time, because I really enjoy it. I say I'm an old guy, but I'm young at heart when you're around those guys all the time.
Absolutely. And I guess the final question I have is, going into next year, what's your vision of success for this team, for this group you have?
Well, I would say that I would like to win all our games, but most coaches say that. And sometimes that's kind of tough to do. One of our goals would be to make sure we're competitive for 40 minutes, not 38 or not 35 or 20. We're competitive for 40 minutes. We'll have more people, so some people will play less minutes, and they got to be okay with that because we had to ride some players a lot of minutes this past year because
you had depth problems.
yeah, we
might
we
only
had
2 or 3 on the bench.
right, and people just didn't get it done in the classroom, and if you don't get it done there, you can't go. So I want to be good in the classroom. I want us to be a good culture. One of my favorite stories. I'm not going over too far.
No, no, no. You're
okay.
absolutely fine. Just
Okay, someone asked me once, and it was at a junior high over at the middle school, not the junior high, at the middle school. Um, I have a daughter that teaches over there, and her class kind of wanted to do a interview, and so the fifth grader or sixth grader asked, what's your most favorite moment? And I had to think about that. Is it when we beat Indian Hills in overtime? Was it when we were in the finals? Was it this game? Was it that game? And then I know when it was. I know what my story is, and I've told it a couple times now. We were in a Subway sandwich shop in Wisner, Nebraska. You guys know where Wisner is at.
Yep.
And we just got done playing over at Winnebago. Okay,
Little Priest.
Little Priest, when Little Priest was playing.
Yep.
And we decided that we'd drive partway home and would stop for our post-game meal at Subway. So we all line up, and of course I go last because I got to pay for everybody.
Oh yes.
Yeah. And when I get up there, I order my 6-inch sandwich, no more footlongs for me, just a 6-inch sandwich with vegetables on it. And the two girls that were working did a great job of getting them through. And then the one girl says to me, "Boy, you got nice guys." And I said, "Why do you say that?" Because they all said please and thank you. I think in today's society, a lot of people don't say please and thank you enough. And so one of my goals would be is to say please and thank you more often. That kind of made me proud just to hear that from two girls working in a Subway in a little town, not necessarily basketball related, but they just were like that. But I want to be competitive too. I want to win most of our games. I like to say win all of them, but you just never know because things happen and you got to keep people healthy. And we weren't healthy this year for a while. And we all kind of suffered through the pandemic stuff. But I think we learned from it. But that would be the things that I'd like to see. I would like to see us, being competitive. I like to see us have most of our players academic All-Americans. And I'd like to see us make first team and second team All-State. And I'd like to see us well, it'd be hard, but you guys alluded to it. Yeah, we didn't win many games this year, but I think we were fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we put on a nice show for people. Yeah. And that's important for me too, because when people come out here and see that, they'll come back and again.
They'll come back and they want to keep seeing this team.
Right. And a lot of junior colleges don't have very big crowds.
Mm-hmm.
But ours is bigger than most. Now, I would say that Indian Hills has huge crowds. Mm-hmm. Burlington has pretty good crowds. But after that, we're right there with them. I know our seats, you can always find room in there. But, we'll have people sitting in the end zones, and we'll have other sport teams are cheering. And then one of the reasons that they're there is because I think that we went and attended their stuff, and it's just been a really
It's nice to see all the activities supporting each other too.
right.
Yeah.
Because really we're all, like we say, we're all Northeast.
Yeah.
You know, we're Northeast, and you know, I don't know if you guys saw that. I think during the Final Four, Northeast had a commercial during a Duke game.
Oh,
That
did
was
they
kind
really?
of, yeah.
Okay.
I just go, wow, that was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
Good placement of an ad, I guess.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, any questions? Any more questions?
No,
You've been amazing to have on the show.
And this is normally we run 30-minute shows. We've been probably right about an hour almost, and we are perfectly fine with that. That's why we rolled early today, because we know you have a lot of information, a lot of cool stories. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to make sure we got you on, because we're staring down the barrel of maybe 3 more of these bad boys before we
like
graduate.
you said, we have 4 weeks to go here. And
Yeah, we're gone or I'm gone in Vegas for that one Thursday. So, I mean, we'll see what we can do for more episodes on Take Flight. We're going to come back next year and check out games for sure. We were excited just kind of going through yesterday, looking at a bunch of old clips, because we're looking at submitting a 7-minute live call for a broadcasting award.
Oh, cool.
So we're just digging through games and seeing what we called together and whatnot. And we were watching some of them and laughing and having a good time.
we're popping back there at all the moments of your team. Even though we've already seen them once, we're all still, look at that steal. Look at this team. Look at this team. And I'm so excited for this team next year.
Yeah,
It's going to be so much fun to watch.
Yeah, we're definitely going to check it out. And I appreciate you taking some time with us and sharing stories and having a good time with us. I hope you enjoyed it as well. And
if you want me to have me back, I can keep telling stories. Maybe next time you can ask me how we lost the game to a pair of shorts.
Lost the game to a pair of shorts. Okay, so we're gonna have to get that story eventually here.
We might need to get a part 2 before the end.
Yeah, part 2. Maybe we'll bring you and Junior in here, and we'll have you just a
big old basketball shebang.
You might fight each other. Well, yeah, I mean, it'll make for great content. And we'll see what we got coming up here on Take Flight. All I know is for now, this is the end of the episode. We appreciate Dan Anderson, head coach of the men's basketball team here at Northeast, for taking some time with us. And as always, for Connor Luby and Irvin Doman, this has been Take Flight.